If you're in the US, you know that we had a solar eclipse last week. It was actually really cool. We had about 95% coverage where we are, so we didn't get the total eclipse. Some schools had a half day because it was literally happening during our regular dismissal time. Our schools didn't. So I pulled my kids from school early. I brought them to buy their favorite snacks in town. And we had a nice little picnic on our porch while we stared up at the sky for 2 hours. I kind of wish we took advantage of the entire day and drove to see the full eclipse, seeing those pictures on Facebook. You get a little FOMO, but I'm still really happy with the day we had. The kids loved getting out of school early, and it was really just a nice afternoon. I'm trying to take advantage of all these little moments when I can. I also talked yesterday about how I did spend a lot of the weekend decluttering, which it really just feels so good. I mean, my house right now is a mess. If you came in, you'd be like, what are you doing? But it's literally because I'm being so intentional with my time. And anytime I have little spurts of time, I'm pulling things out of cabinets and just really looking at things and being intentional of, do I really want this in my house right now? Or what would it feel like to just give it away? So today we're continuing on our theme of decluttering. I really hope that I'm starting to motivate you mamas to get to work on your house, because you have to admit that you just feel so much better when the house is tidy and there's a place for everything and everything is in a place, and it doesn't have to be hard. The less stuff you have, the easier it is to keep your house nice and organized. We have a challenge going on in our Facebook group this month. It's the Clean Out Your Closet Challenge. All you have to do is post a picture of your closet as you're cleaning it out, and you'll be entered into winning a free time management coaching session with me. And for those that are new to the show, I do offer one-to-one coaching in time management and work-life balance. My single sessions, we focus on time management, and I help you realign your week and your priorities, and you walk away with a few actionable strategies. I also offer packages that go a little deeper. They are personalized to your needs and where you're struggling most. And we really focus on getting you balanced, prioritizing your needs and self care, and getting those healthier habits and routines in place. You can check out my show notes for more information, or my website, Mom Wife Career Life. But our Facebook group is free, and this Clean Out Your Closet Challenge is a win win. You get a clean and organized closet, and you get a chance to get that personalized support with time management that you are craving. So if you haven't joined yet, go onto Facebook, search up Work Life Balance for Working Moms, and join today. The link is also in my show notes. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle all the many hats you wear as a working mom? Do you want more quality time with your family without distraction of work and time alone to take care of yourself and your needs? Welcome to Mom Wife Career Life. I'm Kerri, a wife, mom of 3, and a recovering perfectionist. In this podcast, I will teach you how to create balance in your life by implementing healthy habits, organizing your home and your schedule, being intentional with your time and in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start putting your needs first, because no one can pour from an empty cup. Grab that second cup of coffee, or if you're anything like me, your third. It's time to dive into today's episode of Mom Wife Career Life. How do you manage the papers in your house? Do you feel like you have them under control, or do you have random piles of paper in your kitchen, in your living room, in your office, or even your bedroom? I literally used to have a box that papers would just get tossed into because I was sick of seeing those little piles form. And I would get to them when I would get to them, but then that box would fill up, and then a paper pile would form in a different place, and it would drive me nuts. So I had to get myself organized. In the world of technology, I don't know why we still have so much paper, and it comes in daily, whether it's through mail or your kids' backpacks. If you don't have a paper management system in place, the paper clutter can just build up pretty quickly. So today, I'm sharing my tips to not only declutter your paper, but how to manage and organize your paper going forward. So let's get started. Number 1, designate a paper management zone. Create a designated area in your home where all incoming papers will be sorted and processed. This could be your countertop, your desk, or maybe a specific drawer or a basket. Don't do a box, way too big. For me and for most people, it's my kitchen counter, but maybe you have a credenza or a shelf that is a little out of the way, but still enough in your face that you don't forget about the paper. Number 2, implement a touch it once rule. Whenever possible, try to handle a piece of paper only once. If you have time when you bring in the mail, handle it then and there. Your kids' backpacks, handle it then and there. If the paperwork requires an additional action like paying a bill, You can have a touch it twice rule with those types of papers, but that's it. If you don't need the papers, then it's strictly touch it once. You're either throwing it in the recycle bin or, like I'll get to in more detail in a little bit, take a picture of it, then and there, and then toss it in the recycle bin. Number 3, sort papers immediately. As soon as you receive papers like mail, bills, school notices, or paperwork from work, sort them into categories. The categories I use are a to-do, a to-file, a to-shred, and to recycle. Ideally, you're handling the to-dos right away. You're just touching it once. But who are we kidding? You're busy and will rarely have time to action all of your mail right away, so it comes down to these systems. To-dos are the papers you need to action, like a bill, an invitation, or a form from the kid's school. Those now go under the idea of the touch it twice rule. First, they go straight next to my workstation on my counter because I know I have to action them. And then I'm touching them for the second time when I go to action them, but that's it. If you keep your paper on the counter, you can get a nice paper tray to keep your counters looking nice and neat and not like they have papers thrown all over them. If you have a nice paper tray, that's a great way because it's in your face reminder that you need to do something with the papers in there. But it's also still nice and neat so that your counters don't look all cluttered. And the second time you touch them will be when you sit down to action them. Once you're actioning them, you're either discarding them or you're filing them. The to file pile, that's really up to whatever system you have in place. If you can file them right away, that is obviously ideal, but I have a drawer in my buffet table in my family room that I put those papers that I need to file, and then I pick a day to do it all at once, but it's really whatever works for you. I actually had Kaylee organize all my papers one afternoon on spring break, so I just had to file them when she was done, and it was perfect for me, win-win. I gave her a little money for helping me out. If you don't have the space to store them, then try to just put them away as soon as you get them. If you're doing it little bit by little bit, it's really not a lot. To shred, our shredder is upstairs in our office, so I usually put them on the stairs and bring them up the next time I go upstairs. I would love to think that someone else would pass them and bring them upstairs, but I'm sure you all have the same problem in your house. You can leave your stairs filled with stuff and people will just climb over it. The to recycle goes straight in the recycling bin. I actually sort my mail right next to my recycling bin, so I could just toss it right then and there. I'll also add another, a for later pile. These are really my coupons or discounts that come in the mail that I might use later, and I have a place for them in my family room as well. I try to only keep the ones that I'll actually use, like Macy's, Express, or these days Aerie. But the kicker is remembering to actually take them with you when you go to the mall. Macy's usually has the discounts tied to your credit card if you have a Macy's card, so they pull them right up at the register. But the other stores, I usually have to show them the actual coupon to get the discount. If it's an invite or a school paper or something with information that you will need to reference back to, take a picture of it on your phone. I have a few photo albums on my phone for important documents. One is for kids stuff, so if there's a school event that they need to do something for or bring something in for, that goes right into that folder. So I'm not searching emails or looking for papers to try to find that info. You can also create folders for any category, or if you just want to keep it simple, have one album for important documents and just know that when you need to reference something, it's in there. You can then throw the paper out if all the info you need is now on your phone. I do this for receipts too. So I'm a class mom, so if I buy anything for the class, I have to do a reimbursement form. I take a picture of the receipt. Same thing for work. I might have to do expense reports for work. I take pictures of the receipts with my phone, put them in an album, throw out the receipts. Number 4, create a filing system. Establish a filing system that works for you and your family. Invest in a filing cabinet or some sort of file organizer and label folders or binders with categories like household bills, medical records, school documents, work-related papers, etc. I actually have the plastic waterproof containers. I have 3 of them. I have one for bills, one for mortgage, retirement, insurance type documents, and all the important stuff that if something happens to us, my family can just grab that box and it has all the things they'll ever need, and another for my tax return and medical bills. Medical insurance used to be so much easier when we just had to pay a copay, but now we have a deductible and a coinsurance, and keeping track of them is a pain in the butt. So I keep all the medical bills and any proof of payment that I have. From my admin days, I got into the habit of writing on the bill when I paid it and the confirmation number or whatever number they give me as a reference after I pay it. And that way, if there's ever a question of payment, I can just go back to the bill and see my notes. If I get a credit or spoke to someone, I also write that person's name and a brief note of what we discussed, all right there on the bill. There was a point where I was keeping every bill, but now I just keep credit card statements, my bank account statements, insurance, medical bills, and my tax returns. And then any related documents that I submitted with my filing, so my W-2s, any receipts. My accountant says to keep your paperwork for 7 years. Some places say 3, but I'm sticking with the 7. And once a year, I go through all the paperwork and I just purge. You should have a shredder to shred anything that has your account or personal information on it. I let the kids shred the papers because they find it fun, but you need to make sure that you don't overstuff the shredder because it will jam and it will break. And it's so tempting to see how many papers you can actually shred at once, but we've broken a few shredders in our day. If you work in an office that has a shredder, you can also bring them into work and use their shredder. I don't think offices have policies about not bringing personal stuff in, which actually reminds me of a funny story. I work in corporate real estate management, and when I first started working many moons ago, we had this locked box with a mail-like slot on top of it. And I don't know if someone told me that it was a shred bin or I just assumed it was because it had a box with a lock on top of it. But part of our job is bidding out work. And when the contract value is over $100,000, you need to get a sealed bid from a vendor, which back then meant that vendors were submitting their pricing and their proposals in sealed envelopes. And then all the bids would be opened at the same time with a handful of people witnessing the opening to make sure everything was legit and that vendors couldn't change their pricing once submitted. Well, little did I know that that box that had a lock on it was actually our sealed bid box. And when bids would come into the office, they would go straight into that box. Until one day, when one of the managers in my office opened the box to get the bids, and along with the bids was a whole pile of my personal papers that I put in there thinking some company was going to be picking it up and shredding all that paper. Nowadays, shred bins are obviously labeled shredding containers, so you won't make that mistake, and bids and proposals are submitted electronically, so you don't have to worry about making that mistake either. But funny story from my younger days. Number 5, establish paperless billing and statements and auto pay wherever you can. Sign up for paperless billing wherever possible. This significantly reduces the amount of paper coming into your home and makes it so much easier to manage your finances. I still get some of my paper bills, like my credit card statements, and I also get my bank statements. You can get all that stuff online, but some only allow you to go back 2 years. And for tax purposes, I really want to have that full 7 years, so I still get them, but it's whatever you're comfortable with. Just a side note on credit cards. I use one credit card for everything. It's a Capital One card that I will link in the show notes. It allows me to get points that I could use for travel. So anything I can pay with that credit card goes on my credit card, including bills. So I'm getting points that I can use for travel when paying things like my cell phone bill. But it only makes sense to do this if you're able to pay off your credit card bill in full every month, or else you're paying interest on your balance and it completely defeats the purpose of using your credit card. The other reason I like paying everything on the one credit card is at the end of the year, I download an Excel file of my spending and I'm able to analyze everything. You could do this monthly if you want to. I usually do it when I'm getting my taxes in order because I can pull different expenses like charitable contributions. But back to the point, we've literally paid for a few of our vacation using these points. Russ and I just went to DR in February. That trip was probably over 90% points, and it was one of the best vacations we've ever been on. So use those credit cards. Number 6, digitize whenever possible. I mentioned this earlier, but along with taking pictures, you can scan more important documents and save them on your computer so that you have them electronically. Pictures are great for less important documents, but anything you need for like tax purposes should be scanned and saved on a folder, either on your computer or on a cloud. A cloud is better because then you always have that backup if something happens to your computer. If you have work expenses and have to do an expense report, or if you have to do any sort of expense report for clubs or committees, like I said, if you have to get reimbursements, get in the habit of taking those pictures of your paper receipts and saving them either on your computer or in your phone. Receipts are really annoying to keep track of, and if you have them on your phone, then you could just throw them away and you never have to worry about them. Number 7, set aside time for paperwork. It's all about time management. Dedicate specific times each week to go through and process your papers. This could be during a quiet evening after the kids are in bed, or on a weekend morning when you have some free time. I do a lot of my paper decluttering while I'm cooking dinner. There's always that downtime when I'm waiting for a pot to boil or a timer to go off on the oven. So I tackle whatever is on the counter then. For paperwork that involves me going on the computer to do something, I block time during my work week to tackle all those items. I have a Pendaflex folder that I put those papers in, and it's right next to my workstation. And I know when I come to that time block that I have to tackle whatever is in that folder. So it works very well for me. Number 8, use a command center. Create a central command center in your home where you can keep track of all important papers, schedules, and to-do lists. I'm in the process of upgrading ours, but I currently have a corkboard on my kitchen wall, and it has our monthly calendar, a weekly calendar, and then we stick important items that we may need within the next few weeks up there. Right now, I think I have CVS Bucks receipt that's going to expire soon, lotto tickets, my TG Maxx dollars, and Russ's jury duty notice. You can buy a command center that has cubbies for mails and important papers. I used to have something like that, but then everything was getting stuffed in there, and I didn't like seeing all the clutter on the wall. I would much rather have it on my counter so it's in my face and I deal with it then and there, but it's really whatever your preference is. Number 9, get storage for kids' stuff. The school papers can be very overwhelming. All the art projects, the writing pieces, the tests. You get a sentimental attachment and you want to keep everything, but it's a lot, especially if you have more than one kid. A great way to store kids' stuff is to get one of those plastic file folder bins, just like I said for the bills, and make a section for each year and put all of their important stuff in the folder bin. If you have a ton of artwork, you can keep your favorite and take pictures of the rest. They even have one of those services where they'll send you a box, you put the kids' artwork in there, ship it back, and they'll actually make you a photo album of all your kids' artwork. It's something I always wanted to do, never got around to it. Maybe I'll look into it someday. If you're totally motivated, you can make your own photo book of all their work that year and just pop the photo book in that file. That's something I also wanted to do if I ever had the time. I asked the kids to go through and take pictures over the summer, but they never finished. So work in progress. I do have a bag of just the kids' artwork that I've been keeping for a while, and I'm going to have my kids go through it, take pictures of what they want, and we really are just going to dump it. I know that sounds a little harsh, but when you think about it, why are we keeping it? My parents kept so much of my old notebooks that just sat in my attic. Did I like going through it when I came across it? Yes. But that was like once every 5 years. And if they hadn't have kept it, I don't think I would have missed out on anything. And just a forewarning, once your kids get into middle school and high school, everything is done on the computer through Google. And unless you are intentional about going onto their Google Drive and having them show you stuff and print stuff out, you're probably never going to see most of the work they do anyway. Number 10. Purge regularly. Set aside time periodically to declutter and purge all your unnecessary papers. Weed out expired coupons, outdated documents, and anything else that no longer serves a purpose. I love the saying, when in doubt, throw it out, but I'm sure people are thinking, no way, when in doubt, keep it. But if the paper doesn't have something that I need to tear off or return to someone, then I really don't need to keep it. If you're not sure if you'll need something, you can always take that picture of it and put it in your important paper folder on your phone that you should be creating, and then make it a point to go into that album every so often and delete all the things you don't need anymore. Number 11, involve your family. Encourage your family members, including your children, to participate in your paper management and decluttering. Teach them the importance of sorting and filing papers and involve them in keeping the paper clutter to a minimum. Make the kids responsible for cleaning out their folders, giving you the important documents, and then showing you the pile that they want to discard just in case there is something important in there that they might have missed or that they might not want you to see. I did mention that I had Kaylee help organize our bills so I can file them. And when she saw how much we were paying on our electric bill, she was actually shocked. And it gave me the idea to show our kids our electric bill for the past few months and how them leaving every light on is costing us money. And I'm hoping that it will make them more aware and more intentional and maybe entice them to help us reduce our electric usage. Wish me luck. And number 12, this is only if you are really that motivated or if your partner is looking for a project or something to keep them busy. You could actually get rid of all of your papers by scanning all of your important documents and saving them on your computer or the cloud or an external hard drive. They have apps on your phone that you can just scan documents, or you can scan using your Notes app if you have an iPhone and just send it to yourself or save it on your Google Drive right there on your phone. I don't have that kind of extra time, and honestly, keeping everything electronic really kind of scares me a bit. I've been trying to move more towards electronic, at least with the important receipts. I've been saving them on my computer in a file or on my phone in an album, like appliance purchases and medical bills, things that I may need to pull up in the future. But things like my tax return and, like I said, my credit card bill, I still want to have those paper documents. So, not going electronic with those ones. I hope you found this episode helpful, and by implementing these tips consistently, you are really going to create routines and habits that will allow you to effectively manage that paper clutter in your home and create a more organized space for you and your family as a busy working mom. If you have any tips that you would like to share, head on over to our Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms, and tell us all about it. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Kerri Pat. Before you go, if you found this podcast helpful, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute, go on over to iTunes, and leave me a review. If you have other stressed out mamas in your life that you feel this podcast could help, take a screenshot of this episode, post it in your Instagram stories and tag me, and let them know that they are not alone and they can create balance in their life too. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or you just want to connect, DM me on Instagram at mom.wife.career.life or come on over and hang out with us in our Facebook community. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Career Life with Kerri Pat.